Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful, empowered harmonizers. We are zooming in and focusing in on a great viewer question, and that is, how can a relationship with someone change so drastically over the course of the relationship? In the beginning, I was able to communicate, laugh, talk. It seemed like a free exchange of ideas. The relationship was very inspiring, and it's just nothing like that now. And this is not even 12 months later. So I want to just sort of zoom in and focus in on relationships with those people who are narcissistic or psychopathic, and really, how they can become laden with issues, particularly if you are a communicator, if you are a talker, if you're someone that's sort of one of your main personality strengths is that you like to talk, you like to share, you like to discuss, you like to explore. And, this is a very real trait, a very real strength of a lot of people, is to be able to have the gift of gab, or to be able to relay a story, to be able to relay morals, to be able to relay experiences. This is a great place for dinner. This is a great place to travel. This just happened for my child. This is what worked. Little discussions like that really make the world go round. And when you're in a relationship with someone who is a malignant narcissist or a psychopath, they're not going to be supportive of that quality, particularly because it's going to take up airspace, it's going to take up room space, it's going to take up space in their heart and in their mind, and they really need it, really honestly, to be all about their agenda. And even if you are compatible, cooperative, supportive of them, oftentimes just the very presence and the very being of somebody is enough to edge them out. In other words, the agenda or the space that you might have had in their heart, or their time bank, so to speak, might have been a specific, time block. You're going to find that time block shrinking, because as the narcissist goes on, especially through the love bombing, they are not going to be very open or receptive, even if it makes them look good. They get sort of tired very easily. They feel that they can predict things before that they happen. Just, we've already heard that story. I already know that. That's, irrelevant. Those sort of gradually begin to sort of reduce your time that you can have presence in the relationship. In other words, these are your textbook know-it-alls, be-it-alls. These people who just want to feel that they know more, know better. Even if it's to the case or contrary to the case, this person will begin to reduce the amount of influence that you have in the relationship, just to keep things sort of out of balance and unstable. Why? Because if it's unstable enough, a narcissist has the ability to retain the upper hand, the upper leg, the closest exit door left, so that they can basically create their getaway, whether it's real or imagined. Even if they're still in a relationship, you'll find that they just sort of check out a little bit more. When they're not feeling well, they don't want, maybe to be communicated with. They don't want, you to bring soup to them. They don't want you to interact. They just want to deal with it on their own. They don't like to appear needing of support, because to them, it creates a checks and balances where they're not comfortable being reliable. Being accountable to another is like a major blow to an ego, to a narcissist or a psychopath. They don't like to be told what to do. They don't like to be given, oftentimes that, hey, why don't you try? As if, even if you have a good idea and supportive of them, they're going to want to back it off, because they don't want to have that part of the equation. You helped me, now I have to help you. They don't like that sort of reciprocity. It makes them feel uncomfortable. It makes them feel squeamish, anxious, that they can't support, this. It's not sustainable. They are not comfortable. Why? Because they could be at equality They could be seen as needy, on the obvious, not the covert. And they don't like to lose control. Even though it's, normal and natural to understand you can't be in control of everything. You can't be in control of some things like your health, like the job market, like the weather, like whether the mail, arrives, whether you can, call an Uber, and it be there on time. I mean, there's all sorts of things that you cannot control of, but that you need to factor in and you as a human being can accept. But a narcissist, they sort of always want to have the workaround. They want to have the cutting of the corners. They want to say, hey, I've got this app that can do it a better, shut it down. Hey, I've already got this taken care of, even though they don't, shut it down. They just, even though you want to make, a positive contribution, they don't want to be able to delight in other people's strengths. It makes them feel threatened. What if you grow stronger than them? What if you have, some other friends, or more friends? What if you have friends in high places? What if you have friends in low places? What if you have friends in any place? This becomes, it can become like a sort of, checker mentality. You just, took my king, you just took my queen, where a narcissist feels powerless, that they don't have any moves to make. And so then you're going to get the harsh treatment, even though you didn't receive it, or, even though you didn't deserve it, even though you, didn't do anything wrong, you're going to be treated with, the tone of condemnation, the tone of judgment, the evil look, the look that could kill, the look that could paralyze, the door slam, in the narcissistic rage, where all of a sudden they just sort of fly off the handle, and you're just supposed to sit there and observe and not feel scathed by it. But it definitely seems very, even if you try not to take it personally, there's a feeling that it's aimed at you personally. How can you not take it personally is the feeling when it's directed at you, or, the insults are directed at you. No, don't worry, your help is then reflected with anger. As if this is a normal, natural thing that you would do for someone that you care about, that you love. Maybe you have children, it's for a mutual interest, yet it's swatted down like the SWAT team is just here, like with their fly swatters, just ready to treat you like a fly that you're supposed to be. Just be a fly on the wall, don't say anything, and just put up and S up, and a lot of people don't like being treated like that. Some people, that's just how they are, but it gets very old when you're mistreated time and time and time again, when you're not treated with credibility, you're not treated with respect, you're not treated as if you have, something worthwhile to say. The narcissist wants to be in control. This is it. And a lot of people, though, take it personally, especially if you've been in a relationship for some time. It does seem very pointed and very directed. Meaning, it's very felt to be like just sort of pointed speech, very accusatory in nature, very sort of, just, be quiet might be just sort of, short of, telling you to shut it up, which is a very rude thing. That is not the way that you treat somebody that you care about. It's a way to prove that you're a bully. I would think, furthermore, that, if you're put into this, lower rung position, you're going to feel low. And it's not just in the relationship. The problem is it tends to sort of carry over in other areas of your life. You sort of feel hurt. You feel shot down. You feel that you've just been kicked under the knees, and that you then go to work feeling smaller. You go to school feeling smaller. You go to the playground feeling smaller. You go to the movies feeling smaller. And this is not the positive, correct direction for you. It might seem that the narcissist or the psychopath is the authority or the know-it-all, particularly if, you've been now in a position where you're interdependent on them. Who's going to cook dinner? Who's going to pay the bills? Who's going to do the mortgage? Who's going to do the finances? You might find yourself interdependent, but then slowly, they want others to sort of lose grip, lose presence to the point where it does not fit for you. They've got the wrong person. You've criticized, the wrong guy. You've criticized the wrong girl. You must not know me because, you're treating me as if someone, you're talking to somebody else. They treat you like a viewer so aptly stated, they treat you like there's nobody upstairs. And then pretty soon, though, if you're treated repetitively this way, you have the mirror neuron, so you feel that you're looking into a true mirror with a narcissist, but they are cutting you down for their benefit to make their life easier, so they don't have to deal, they don't have to grow, they don't have to be responsible, they don't have to own up, they don't have to, come to Jesus, so to speak. They don't have to reveal the truth. They don't have to be responsible and accountable to others, but it's not natural for them because they lack empathy. So for them, it's a real challenge. They don't want to, even though they might, see that what they're doing is unfair, they might just then start hurling the insults even harder. They don't want to be responsible for how they've mistreated others. They don't want to own it. They don't want to own up to it. They don't want to discuss. If anything, their entitlement then takes over, and then they feel entitled and justified to speak in the tone that they do. And pretty soon, you're going to need a mediator to navigate this, like a third party who can look at things from an outside objective perspective, or you might just be able to decide that this relationship is not all that you had hoped for or expected to be. And it is how it is. Even if you might try to make amends for them, they are smart enough to do better. They are wise enough to know more. They're old enough to be able to get this now. And that, maybe if you hold on them for a little bit more period of time, that they'll grow up. They'll get it. They'll see it eventually. Basically then this becomes, really a form of procrastination, and then ultimately denial, where, eventually it'll get, even worse. A lot of people wonder with time, is this going to mellow out? And unfortunately, it gets more pronounced and more severe and more emphatic with time. Especially as someone, gets older, and then other issues that might make them just sort of more average, more normal, kick into play. They don't want to feel this way, especially if they've been with others who, relate to them, hey, you're sick, why don't you go to the doctor? They don't want to hear, they're above others. They're above the law. They're above the doctors. They're above, the health issues. They just don't, and this can be a real source of contention and feeling of anxiousness when they don't then take care of themselves and aren't responsible and accountable for normal everyday things like their health, their finances, how they treat others, being accountable. What time are you going to be home? Are you going to be here and pick this up? Then you see these subtle, passive aggressive, I didn't pick this up at the grocery store. I forgot to pick up this. I didn't do that. And then, you're supposed to come to them cool, calm, and collected, and they're just red hot. They can't be, related to. They can't be open for communication. So, realize that this is the normal unraveling of things. This is just how it's going to go. And, don't allow the love or lose the love or joy in your heart. Retain that joy, retain that love, be able to sort of hold back and then, come to a position of stillness. Oftentimes there's such a momentum in relationships with people who are narcissistic, trying to please them, trying to appease them. You've got this automatic, just sort of fix it, mentality. Either for fixing yourself or fixing them, and it can become very painful. So don't be afraid to get still and know that you are safe, that you are okay, that you're right, and then to realize that you're not going to give your strength to that which is not going to help you grow in happiness or joy. Begin to curtail that. Begin to be more of a disciplinarian with your energy. Be a little bit more conservative. Hold back a little bit. Catch yourself, and especially if you're wanting to, sort of either maybe you've gone no contact, but you're still sort of you're still receiving that aftershock. Realize that this is just how, the relationship will transpire. It does not mean that there's something wrong with you. You've just come across a relationship where you're not a good fit. It's not a good match. It's not something that you can over obligate to them to try to work harder to improve. I mean, this is just who they are. Begin to embrace yourself in your own strengths, your own desires, your own needs, and really be able to understand where your own priorities are and put that up above. Keep your priorities, keep true to them, and enforce them, particularly when we talk about a lot of the tools here. You really need to enforce these on the daily. You really do need to have a system and a methodology that you stick with to see, and the effects and the results will come. The astromation box that we talk about in our membership, also the aspiration box. Keeping these things in front of you will help to restore and reignite that passion, sort of that heat, that feeling of warmth and humanity and hope will begin to be restored. Color will resume to you. This is important because the relationship can become very lifeless, very cold, very condescending, very dark, very heavy, unpleasant, and confusing, and it's very difficult to take on this, while you're still in the relationship. So exit out of that emotional quicksand, get yourself on some ground, some solid ground, and be able to sort of, just sort of map this out. And begin to put chips back in your own corner. We talked about also in our memberships about that credibility jar. Really get that. Really do that. Really keep that out. Keep it as something significant and that you look to, because you need visuals to help you just sort of get out of that rut and keep you on the right track. And then pretty much the momentum will help you. It'll become more automatic, and then your clarity of vision and understanding in your heart will help you to make more decisions in the right direction, especially if you can be, a little bit more conservative within yourself and be careful with your energy and how you give it away. Don't give it away so easily, especially to someone who you feel is, mistreating you or disrespectful to you. It's okay to make that determination. Be decisive. You can do this. It's your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today. And I hope that these videos do help. Please share, please subscribe, and please donate for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support. Peace out. Have a beautiful day.